Hello everybody, so this is a bit more progress on the board game idea I have. It's loosely based on Connect 4 or the game of tic-tac-toe, noughts and crosses, and also Go Mo Coup. If you've not seen Go Mo Coup, have a look. So this is going to be a variation on all of those three. So I'm still yet to refine the actual game rules, which probably is a bad idea. I should actually have done that first. However, part of me just wanted to get some code working and then just fine tune the game rules afterwards. We'll see if that was wise or not. So the board is created here as a array or Python list. We've got the constants, rows, columns. So at the moment, the board has 5 rows and 8 columns. So what we've got is some test positions. So this is a game already in progress. Now, I want to solve this using minimax ultimately. So you need some kind of heuristics because it's not going to be possible to do a full depth search right to a terminal state because there are so many squares to choose from. So I'm thinking of going to a depth of 3. If anyone more experienced than me with minimax can advise, then that would be a good help. So I've got 2 in a row here, 2 ones, and I've got 3 2s there, 2 1s, and then a column of 2 2s there. So what I'm just going to do is run it, and it's worked out on the left hand side here. It knows that I've got, so just to rewind, I'm adding the 0 on to the score effectively. So if there's 3 in a row, I'm calling it 30. If there's 2 in a row, I'm calling it 20. And then minimax uses plus infinity and minus infinity from the math library, from math import, INF. So with this, I now have successfully, well, I say successfully, with manual testing, I believe it's working, but let's just change some. So we'll change that back to 0. So what I want, I should be getting from this, I should be getting a column of 30 and a row of 20. Just run that. Row of 20, yep. Well, there's 2 rows of 20, but it's, and yeah, the column of 30. Let's just change one again here, change that back to 0. So that should actually return rows equals 20 and columns equals 20. Let's try that. Yeah, so far so good. So I'll just scroll, if I just zoom out a fraction and show you the code in case you want to use it, refer to it, learn from it. What I've done is I've set a variable called in a row, set it to 0, and then basically if I've got 3 in a row, then it sets the variable to 30. If it's 2 in a row, it returns 20. Then at the end, it returns in a row. This is good because it will return 0 if this or this are false. So let's just prove that it does return a 0. So what I want to do is if I change that to 0, then we've got columns should equal 0 now. Yeah, and that works. So we've got a working check rows and check columns. So my idea for this game is to not worry about diagonals. The way that it differs from Connect 4 is that you can actually play over the top of your opponent. So if it's your turn and your opponent is about to get 3 in a row, you can play over the top of them and cancel out one of theirs. And by doing so, by cancelling out one of theirs, like if I was to play here, let me zoom in again. If I was to play here, do you see where the cursor's flashing? So my opponent's about to get 3 in a row because they would probably go there. But I could play here. If I'm player 1, I could play here. And not only have I messed up their chances of getting 3 in a row, I've also gone from 2 in a row to 3 in a row myself. So if I run a check again, I should get rows equal to 30. Yep, so we've got that. So ultimately, I'm thinking 5 in a row. And maybe making the AI, or the minimax AI player, need to get 5 in a column. So the human has to get 5 in a row. The computer has to get 5 in a column. I'm still working with that idea, and when I've fine-tuned this and actually got it working, I will probably use Fast API and turn this into an API, which I will then host on maybe Google Cloud Platform with the free account, and then I will just call this from my nice JavaScript front end, and that also stops anybody stealing the code. Or obviously, if you're that determined, you would just take my idea and replicate it anyway. So I'm trying to share this with you so that you can see all the code, but also at the same time, in case it's a roaring success like Wordle, then I don't want to share 100% of the code. So what I will be doing in my next bit of code is I think I'll use PyTest, and I will write, I will try to write an automated test for check cols and check rows. So I'll write a test and I will use parameterize, and I will read from a big list of different arrays, and it will pass in an array to the test, and then from that it will then see if it gets the same expected result, which I will be providing, and then I'll see if the test using this function returns the same result. So it'll be an assert statement saying if result equals expected result, then we're happy. So this is the game idea as it stands. The next video I will probably have written the tests, and then after these tests, then it will be, I'm almost putting off doing the minimax because I know it's going to make my head hurt, but that will be the next step. So yeah, if you want to see this code, I'll just leave this here for you for now to have a look at. So checking the rows is fairly easy. Checking the columns was slightly more complicated because you need to move down, so you need to multiply the number of rows by the current iterator and then add j. So j is basically, so I is the number of rows times the board width, so 2 times 8 is 16. So if you're on the third row, you have 2 lots of 8, which is 16, plus j, and j is how far in you are from left. So if I'm on the third row and I'm 2 in, then that should be 18. So if I was there, for instance, that would be 1 row, 2 rows, 2 times, so I times the board width, so that would be 2 times 8 plus j, and j would be 2, so that would actually be 18. Hopefully that's given you an idea if you're writing a board game yourself, or you're just wondering how to return the score, because you need to do this in the correct sequence, because you need to check if there's 3 in a row first. If there's 3 in a row, good, but you don't want your next part of the code, you don't want that to overwrite the 3 in a row, because if it was 3 in a row, that would be true, but also by definition, if you've got 3 in a row, then you've definitely got 2 in a row, and you don't want the 2 in a row result overwriting the 3 in a row result, because the 3 in a row result is obviously more significant. And also you want a condition or variable to store as 0, because if neither of these are true, you want to pass back 0, as I did here. So I know this is a bit niche and it's very bespoke, and I'm not using a framework or it's not web scraping, but um, it's kind of an ongoing project, and I just want to document it and share the bits and pieces that I learn as I go along. So um, yeah, and again, it's not Connect Four, it's not Tic Tac Toe, it's not Go Moku, it's not chess, but um, yeah, why not invent your own board game? Why do anything? You could just sit on a seat and just eat some crisps. Up to you, your choice. See you again.